The arena had just settled from the chaos of the night. The crowd's roar still echoed faintly in the corridors, a mix of cheers, boos, and chants that resonated through the backstage hallways. Roman Reigns, the Universal Champion, had just delivered his damning promo in the ring, a segment that left the WWE Universe buzzing. His words had been sharp, precise, and full of fire, as always. Tonight, he had shown why he was at the top of the mountain, why the tribal chief reigned supreme. But now, as he walked backstage, a different energy filled the air, one of anticipation, tension, and a hint of danger. Roman moved with purpose, his towering figure cutting a commanding presence through the dimly lit corridor. His face was set in a serious expression, eyes focused ahead, but beneath that calm exterior was a flicker of alertness. Roman knew the backstage area well, but tonight, something felt off. There was an unshakable feeling that he was being watched, that someone, or something, was waiting for him in the shadows. He was no stranger to backstage politics, to surprises, and to surprises with an edge. But tonight, he sensed a different kind of threat, one that he couldn't ignore. As he approached a bend in the hallway, the faint sound of footsteps echoed behind him, but when he looked back, the corridor was empty. He shrugged it off, tightening his grip on the championship belt slung over his shoulder. He was a veteran, a seasoned performer, and he knew how to keep his cool. Still, he paused for a moment, glancing around cautiously. The backstage area was usually bustling with crew members, producers, and wrestlers preparing for their next segment, but tonight, it seemed eerily quiet, almost too quiet. Suddenly, out of the shadows, a figure stepped forward. Roman's eyes immediately locked onto him, instinct kicking in. The man was dressed in dark clothing, a hoodie pulled over his head, a baseball cap low over his face, and sunglasses that reflected the dim lights as he moved deliberately into view. The silhouette was deliberate, calculated, like a predator revealing himself slowly. Roman's muscles tensed, but he kept his composure, adopting his usual authoritative stance. "Hey," Roman called out, voice steady but laced with authority. "I know you're back there. Come out and show yourself." His tone was firm, commanding, leaving no room for ambiguity. The mysterious figure hesitated for a moment, then stepped forward with slow, deliberate movements. As he drew closer, Roman could see that the man's face was partially obscured, but his confident posture gave away that he wasn't just some random backstage worker. There was a quiet assurance in his gait, a calmness that bordered on arrogance. The man finally halted a few feet away from Roman, and with a measured voice, he said, "You've been looking for me, Roman. I had to see if you were really ready." The words hung in the air, thick with unspoken meaning. Roman's fists clenched subtly, his eyes narrowing as he studied the stranger. "Who the hell are you?" Roman demanded, voice low but commanding. "Why are you messing with my night? This is my show. You don't just get to sneak around backstage like this." The man chuckled softly, a sound that was neither mocking nor threatening, but somehow unsettling. "Relax, Roman, I'm not here to cause trouble, at least, not yet. I'm here because I want to see if you're really the tribal chief everyone's been talking about. Or if you're just all talk." His words were calm, almost conversational, but beneath the surface was a challenge, a provocation. Roman's eyes flickered with suspicion, but he refused to be baited. He took a step forward, his towering frame looming over the smaller figure. "Listen," Roman said, voice low and gritty, "I don't know what game you're playing, but I don't have time for games. If you've got something to say it now. I'm not in the mood for riddles or mind games." His words carried weight, a warning that he was not a man to be trifled with. The stranger's lips curled into a slight smile, one that didn't reach his eyes. "All right, Roman," he said softly, voice smooth and calculated. "Maybe I'll tell you what I want. But first, I want you to understand. What you see here, what you've accomplished, none of it is by accident. Everything you've built, everything you've become, it's impressive. But it's also fragile. One wrong move, one misstep, and it all comes crashing down." His words were deliberate, each syllable carefully chosen to cut deep, to make Roman think twice. Roman's jaw clenched tighter. "You're wasting my time," he said through gritted teeth. "If you've got something to say it. Otherwise, I suggest you turn around and walk away before I do something I might regret." There was a dangerous edge to his voice now, a warning that he was reaching his limit. The stranger nodded slowly, as if acknowledging Roman's authority but also signaling he wasn't afraid. "I get it," he said. "You're the man in charge. The head of the table. The tribal chief. But listen, this isn't about disrespect. It's about understanding. You see, there are forces out here, backstage, in this industry, that don't care about titles or belts. They care about chaos. And I'm here to stir the pot. His eyes flicked briefly to Roman's championship belt, then back to his face. Roman's expression hardened. You're trying to get in my head, aren't you? Well, it's not going to work. I've been through too much to let some shadowy figure mess with me. So if you've got a point, say it. Or keep walking. The man paused, then finally took a step closer, lowering his voice to a whisper. The point is, Roman, you're not invincible. You're not untouchable. You might be the head of the table, but the table has cracks. And I want to see if you're strong enough to hold it all together when everything starts to fall apart. His words were deliberate, like a challenge thrown directly at Roman's core. Roman stared at him, silent for a moment. Then he took a deep breath, his chest rising and falling slowly. The tension between them thickened, the air heavy with unspoken threats and possibilities. Roman's voice was steady as he finally responded. All in good time, my friend. But just remember, Roman Reigns doesn't back down from anyone. If you've got something to say, I'm listening. But be warned, if you cross the line, there won't be any second chances. The stranger's lips curled into a faint smile once more, then he took a step back, raising his hands in mock surrender. Fair enough, Roman, just be careful. The backstage world is a lot more dangerous than you think, and I'm just getting started. With that, he turned and disappeared into the shadows, leaving Roman standing alone in the corridor, still tense, still alert, and more determined than ever to find out who this mysterious figure was and what he wanted. Roman took a long, measured breath, then looked directly into the camera, his expression fierce and unwavering. Whoever you are, he said slowly, voice full of resolve, know this, Roman Reigns doesn't run from threats. I confront them. So if you think you can scare me, think again. Because I'm ready for whatever's coming next. And believe me, you haven't seen the last of me. As the scene faded out, the camera lingered on Roman's intense gaze, a symbol of his unbreakable spirit and the chaos that was yet to come. The backstage shadows hid secrets, and Roman Reigns was ready to face whatever darkness lurked in the wings of the WWE Universe. Roman Reigns remained rooted in place, his eyes fixed on the shadowed corridor where the mysterious figure had just vanished. The silence was deafening, broken only by the faint hum of the arena's ventilation system and the distant echoes of the night's earlier chaos. He clenched his fists, feeling the weight of the championship belt on his shoulder, a symbol of his dominance and authority. But beneath that surface, a storm of questions churned. Who was that man? What was his purpose? And what did he mean when he spoke of chaos lurking backstage? The corridors of the arena were vast and labyrinthine, a maze of connecting hallways, locker rooms, production areas, and secret passageways. Roman knew these halls well, having navigated them countless times during his career. Yet tonight, they felt different, more ominous, more treacherous. Every shadow seemed to hide a threat, every corner a potential ambush. His instincts, honed through years of combat and survival, told him to stay alert. The tension in his muscles was a reminder that he was in a war of words tonight, and in a war of shadows. He took a step forward, his senses heightened, ears straining for any sound that might betray the presence of his unseen visitor. But silence persisted. He reached for his phone, intending to call security or someone in authority, but then he hesitated. Something told him that rushing to the authorities might be too late. Perhaps the stranger was already gone, or perhaps he was watching, waiting for the right moment to strike. Roman exhaled slowly, trying to steady his nerves. He knew better than anyone that the backstage of WWE was a battleground, a place where alliances shifted like quicksand and enemies lurked behind friendly faces. Tonight, he had encountered one of those enemies, an unknown, a ghost, a shadow that challenged his authority and questioned his strength. And he refused to let that challenge go unanswered. He pushed open a nearby door that led into a quiet, dimly lit locker room. Inside, the fluorescent lights flickered faintly, casting long shadows across the room. Roman moved to sit on a bench, his mind racing. He needed to think, strategize. Whoever this man was, he had clearly been sent or had come for a reason. And that reason had to be linked to the chaos he had hinted at, something bigger than a simple backstage prank or a petty rivalry. His mind flashed to recent rumors circulating backstage. Whispers of factions forming, alliances breaking down, and a new player emerging from the shadows, someone who didn't care about titles or accolades, only destruction. The stranger's words echoed in his head. The backstage world is a lot more dangerous than you think. That phrase resonated deeply, stirring a sense of foreboding. Roman knew that if this new threat was serious, it could destabilize everything he had fought to build. His reign, his family, his legacy, all of it could be at stake. That's why he had to find out who this person was and what they wanted. But more than that, he had to prepare himself for what might come next. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small device, an encrypted communication tool, ready to contact his confidants, his allies, and even some of the security team. As he did, his phone buzzed with a message from Paul Heyman. Roman glanced at it briefly, reading the text, "Stay alert. Something's coming. Trust no one tonight." The message sent a shiver down his spine. Paul's instincts were rarely wrong. Just then, footsteps echoed again outside the locker room. Roman tensed, instinctively reaching for the door handle. He listened closely. The footsteps were deliberate, slow, and cautious, a pattern that suggested someone was approaching with intent. Roman moved into a defensive stance, ready to face whatever or whoever it was. The door handle turned quietly, and the door creaked open just enough for a figure to slip inside. Roman's eyes locked onto the figure, this time, not a stranger, but someone he recognized. It was a crew member, one of the production assistants, trembling slightly, holding a small clipboard. "Roman," the assistant stammered, voice trembling, "I was told to, deliver this to you." He held out a folded piece of paper, trembling in his hand. Roman took it, unfolding the note carefully. The handwriting was hurried, almost frantic. "They're watching. Be careful. Trust no one. The chaos has begun." Roman's brow furrowed deeply as he read the message. His mind raced. Who could have sent it? Was it connected to the shadowy figure he had just confronted? Or was it something else entirely? The words struck a nerve. It confirmed that he was not just dealing with a lone troublemaker, but with an orchestrated effort designed to destabilize him and the entire Backstage. He looked back at the assistant. "Thanks. Stay here. Lock the door behind you. No one else comes in until I say so." His voice was calm, but commanding. The assistant nodded quickly and disappeared out the door, leaving Roman alone with his thoughts once more. He stared at the note, then looked around the room, his mind already spinning plans and contingencies. Whoever was behind this was clever, calculating, and dangerous. It wasn't just a random threat, it was a calculated move to test his defenses, to see how far they could push him before he cracked. Roman took a deep breath, steadying himself. His years of experience told him one thing: the only way to confront chaos was to face it head-on. He was the head of the table, the tribal chief. He had fought too hard and come too far to be taken down by shadows and whispers. He reached into his bag and pulled out his signature vest, slipping it on with deliberate precision. His eyes gleamed with resolve. Whatever was coming, he was ready for it. He would confront his enemies, uncover their identities, and crush any threat before it could fully take hold. He knew that in the world of WWE, danger lurked behind every curtain, behind every smile, behind every handshake. Tonight, the shadows had spoken. Tonight, Roman Reigns would show that he was still standing, more formidable than ever. As he stepped out of the locker room, his mind set on the fight ahead, he knew this was just the beginning. The chaos was coming, and Roman Reigns was prepared to face it, head-on, unyielding, and undefeated.